like to eat vegetables now, but as a kid, I would never touch it at all.
Oh, wow.
No, I was like very picky on foods, but obviously also unfortunately ate a lot of fast foods and bad foods in my childhood already and started young with the better food. So I crashed my health first. That's why I went on this health optimization journey. I had to fix me first.
What age did you crash your health?
So I was always very athletic, but always had something chronically, chronic inflamed tonsils. I took tons of antibiotics. They took out my appendix when I was 15. They took out my wisdom teeth, all these things. I had massive acne as a teenager. And they also gave me antibiotics against this. And then they gave me Accutane against it. Then I had...
Accutane's bad stuff.
Fucking bad, man. And this is something my liver still needs to deal with. I had it twice. Braces, everything. And I just thought it's normal. I never thought about it. It's just like, shit, I can't skateboard. I need another antibiotic. I have to get off of sports. And my brother had the same, acne massively.
You know, it's so interesting that you talk about that. Like, you know, you're a kid. You're just like, oh, yeah, of course you got to take your tonsils out. You got to take your wisdom teeth out. You got glasses. You know, you're
glasses, and then you have hay fever, and then you get your appendix cut out.
You're sick all the time, nosebleeds. It's just like a death by 1,000 cuts.
Yes, and nobody even thinks about it. I didn't either. I just thought, okay, I'm unlucky right now, and it made it worse.
You probably didn't even think you were unlucky. You're like, you know, all my friends have acne.
Yeah, I was just thinking, fuck, I'm more unlucky because mine is worse.
Oh, okay. But it's almost rare to see kids that don't have acne these days. It's nuts.
It's crazy, man. And
I mean, I look around, forget about kids, even adults, like most people have acne. Yes. And women cover it up with, you know, I think it's probably more common in women that they cover it up with makeup and stuff.
They do a lot of makeup. If you look, yeah, it's really hard. The skin present. But up until this day, up until 20, and I had all these things, I just thought, that's how life is. It comes from the outside. But then when I was 21, I crashed big time and I get depressed and I was like down, like so down. I had to find a solution. And there was either, okay, end the life or find something, because early 2000 being depressed.
You were that depressed. Wow. You were thinking about suicide at one point?
I had that thoughts,
wow.
But I'm not the suicide guy.
Right. You're a happy guy. I mean, naturally.
I'm naturally like this. I'm a very happy guy, but from that point, it was really flipped from one day to the other. Wow. I was sad and crying, and I thought the feeling I had, I can still remember. It was like, man, I just want to be normal again. Why is this not going away? It felt like I'm in a dream, but I remembered my one foot being in the real life, and I knew I want to be normal again. And I went to everybody. And I didn't tell anybody, because early 2000, it was like a dogma. If you're depressed in Germany, you're kind of doomed for life. So I kept it for myself. Only my girlfriend back then knew it, and my parents, and they were very scared. I wasn't really scared. I was just like, I need to fix this. But there was no health optimization. There was no YouTube. There was no internet. There was no nothing. So I just went on a journey with training, nutrition, supplements, biochemistry, all the studies.
Wow.
That's why I started so young. And it took me about the whole university time. Obviously, I realized I can't drink 6 days a week anymore. So it was my own fault. I was just partying too hard. And then I flipped at one point. Actually, it was a blessing in disguise. Back then, it didn't feel good. But I learned everything from it. And when I finally realized what was the problem, it took me only a week to fix. My neurotransmitters were just totally out of whack. And that's why I still use this assessment called Braverman's assessment for all my patients that come in to assess their neurotransmitters. This is the fastest way to see what's get built in the gut, but I am not interested in what's swimming around in your gut. I want to know what is in your brain. And I'm a natural dopamine dominant person, and I was just having a dopamine deficiency. I didn't know it. Everybody was talking about serotonin and whatever. I never took any medication because I was into supplements and bodybuilding and training, and I wanted to just find a solution. And when I had it, you obviously get addicted to getting deeper and deeper and deeper. But the 3 to 4 years when I had it, this is really bad. And you can feel patience. I can understand why some people do suicide. I would never do it because I'm not that guy. I look for the solution. But I know how that feeling is. I know if you don't find a way out of this and you think, I will stay like this forever, it doesn't really make sense. And this is the sad part, because it's actually super easy to fix. And if you're depressed like myself, you need to understand that this is a signpost that something in your whole body is really out of balance. Diet, nutrition, lifestyle, all the things. And you can actually take responsibility and optimize. And now, luckily, we have you can test your genetics. We have a ton of biohackers, health optimization specialists that teaching this. But imagine 20 years ago, it wasn't existing. So there was nobody. And then you have to find your own solutions.
Yeah. So what I would, just to, detour slightly just for a second, I just want to show something. You mentioned checking your neurotransmitters. I actually found it was very helpful for me to check my BDNF in my genetics, my dopamine. So the DRD2 receptor is very good. And I find that I have been deficient on dopamine with this particular receptor. And I definitely am lower in BDNF. So these kinds of things are super important for mood. MTHFR.
You're not able to pull up my report, right?
I don't have your report on my system. Did you upload it to Self-Decode yet?
Yes, I did. But I didn't see this one. I will check later. I thought you just maybe have the info.
You can pull it up if you want. You can log in and pull it up. I can go through some of the things. But another one that's really important is you look at the mood report. So it shows that I have a tendency for lower mood. And if you look at the report in the recommendations, which is the most important, you could see which variants, especially in the recommendations, is problematic. And for me, there's so this is the dopamine D2 receptor you see. So there's recommendations for that. But there's the TPH2 gene, which for me was like critical, right? This is one of the main mechanisms by which my mood was always chronically unstable. And really, everything that improves this enzyme really improves my mood a lot. That includes methylfolate. 5-HTP is the main thing. That is because what happens is your body converts tryptophan to 5-HTP and 5-HTP to serotonin.
Yes.
And what we do is we look at just all your SNPs. In this case, we look at 85,000 variants to come up with a polygenic score. But you want with the recommendations, for me, 5-HTP is prioritized because I have this variant over here. And what that means is that, my tryptophan hydroxylase gene is not working very well. And what that also means is that so things that increase tryptophan hydroxylase, I was also deficient on. So I was deficient on methylfolate and niacin. So those is kind of like this perfect storm of not having enough niacin, not having enough methylfolate, both of which are critical to this enzyme. The enzyme itself not working as well. And so now I take methylfolate, niacin, and 5-HTP as well. That combination basically just completely got rid of all my mood issues.
On what time of the day you take the 5-HTP?
I take it at night now, evening with dinner typically. So, and again, I have I gave you one of the Joe's Mood Daily. It's got the 5-HTP. It's got the rhodiola. So the thing with
I like it.
You okay? That's great. Yeah, I didn't actually speak to you about that, but essentially, it's increasing your serotonin a good amount in a bunch of different ways. But also, it's got some theanine in there. It's got some nutrients. So I really designed it for me, but also for, in general, like a bunch of ingredients that are good for mood. So for me, for example, the zinc I was always deficient on. That's super important for mood. Then this whole serotonin pathway. And so I put a lot of things in it for there. The 5-HTP, there's some B vitamins. And then there's also the like rhodiola, which increases serotonin. There's a bunch of other ingredients that increase serotonin. So combined with all those things, that formula works really well for me. And I just take that formula, even though I have all the ingredients separately, I just like I take that formula. And that's why I think like the genetics now is a game changer. I think the Braverman tool is cool in certain ways to see, what your symptoms are, but now we could see how your biochemistry is actually ticking.
Yes, obviously the Braverman is only a quick assessment, and then having genes like in your self-decode is obviously way more advanced. Like you cannot even compare, but just initially to tell you of what, at least for me, is like, okay, you really have a deficiency in something and you can manage it, was good to know. And then going to log into your self-decode and then getting the information straight away. Okay, now this is your gene. Just take 5-HTP and take rhodiola and take zinc in the morning. And you also need P5P because you don't work with B6. You need an activated methylated folate and B6. Perfect. Same for me. So that's fast tracked. So that's what I mean. 20 years ago, it wasn't existing. There wasn't even no Braverman. It came later. But
I don't know. They weren't
amazing. Yeah.
The availability, it's unbelievable how many supplements are out there now. Just all different kinds of ingredients. You have a bunch of formulas, but really, like, how 5-HTP, was it around in the early 2000s? I don't know. Was there any studies on it? Was it? I'm not sure even. Yeah, maybe, but it wasn't popular. That's for sure.
It wasn't. No supplements at all weren't popular. Not at all. Only bodybuilding supplements like creatine and whey proteins and the basics. They were popular, but not these things. The only thing a doctor would prescribe you was the same as now, like a serotonin reuptake inhibitor, which makes no sense for dopamine deficiency. You need something else. And obviously you don't want to do medications that deplete B6 and magnesium and zinc. Yeah, this is what I mean. And also had a functional medicine doctor back then giving me that was amazing. He gave me my spreadsheet. To find him took me a few years. And I had a massive blood work with everything. And he then presented me like one bottle of what I should take. And I was like, with my knowledge back then, I was like, that won't work. So I do it myself. So I went to a bulk page and bought all the raw materials that I knew I need to dopamine synthesize. And for my other deficiencies, I was just buying tyrosine and smashing 2 grams in the morning and tryptophan 2 grams in the evening. And it took me a week to fix it. This is super simple.
Wow. If you understand. Do you still take that?
I still always take a bit of tyrosine in my formula. I have one amino acid formula, which is designed for these things, for my problems, neurotransmitters, detoxification, immune system. There's a bit of tyrosine in it, not a lot, only a little bit, but it works in synergy. It's a complex formulation, like yours too. This is one of, I have a company too for these things. And same as you, I developed these things for the need out of my creations to get optimal and help the many out there, hopefully with it. And tyrosine is in it. I take 5-HTP.
What is the formula called?
It's called Amino Supreme.
Amino Supreme. And what's the brand?
Substance Nutrition.